Welcome to International Peace, selections from All Men Are Brothers by Mahatma Gandhi Ji, Vegetarian, Part 2 of 2. Born Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, vegetarian, the man who came to be known as the Great Soul, or Mahatma Gandhi Ji, vegetarian, was an exemplary spiritual practitioner and a visionary leader of India. Born in 1869, this passionate servant of humanity first became a lawyer. However, he felt a different calling from within as he discovered a fervent wish to improve the lives of all people. The beloved Mahatma Gandhi Ji, vegetarian, sometimes spoke about desired changes in government and would meditate and fast to encourage a non-violent and beneficial outcome. He thus became an example of peaceful change for an entire country. In his book, All Men Are Brothers, Mahatma Gandhi Ji, vegetarian, humbly reflects on his own life and inner realizations as a way to illustrate the unity of our global spiritual family. In one passage, he describes faith as a divine principle within us all, regardless of religion. It is faith that steers us through stormy seas, faith that moves mountains, and faith that jumps across the ocean. That faith is nothing but a living, wide-awake consciousness of God within. They who have achieved that faith want nothing. Bodily diseased, they are spiritually healthy. Physically poor, they roll in spiritual riches. Today we are pleased to share with you Mahatma Gandhi's eloquent thoughts on international peace from Chapter 6 of his book, All Men Are Brothers. Chapter 6, International Peace. We want freedom for our country, but not at the expense or exploitation of others, not so as to degrade other countries. I do not want the freedom of India if it means the extinction of England or the disappearance of Englishmen. I want the freedom of my country so that other countries may learn something from my free country, so that the resources of my country might be utilized for the benefit of humankind. There is no room for race hatred there. Let that be our nationalism. There is no limit to extending our services to our neighbors across state-made frontiers. God never made those frontiers. My goal is friendship with the whole world, and I can combine the greatest love with the greatest opposition to wrong. For me, patriotism is the same as humanity. I am patriotic because I am human and humane. It is not exclusive. I will not hurt England or Germany to serve India. Imperialism has no place in my scheme of life. The law of a patriot is not different from that of the patriarch, and a patriot is so much the less a patriot if they are a lukewarm humanitarian. There is no conflict between private and political law. Not to believe in the possibility of permanent peace is to disbelieve in the godliness of human nature. Methods hitherto adopted have failed because rock-bottom sincerity on the part of those who have striven has been lacking. Not that they have realized this lack. Peace is unattained by part performance of conditions, even as a chemical combination is impossible, without complete fulfillment of the conditions of attainment thereof. If the recognized leaders of humankind who have control over the engines of destructions were wholly to renounce their views, with full knowledge of its implications, permanent peace can be obtained. This is clearly impossible without the great powers of the earth renouncing their imperialistic design. This again seems impossible without great nations ceasing to believe in soul-destroying competition and to desire to multiply wants and therefore increase their material possessions. I do suggest that the doctrine of non-violence holds good also as between states and states. I know that I am treading on delicate ground if I refer to the late war, but I fear I must, in order to make the position clear. It was a war of aggrandizement, as I have understood, on either part. It was a war for dividing the spoils of the exploitation of weaker races, otherwise euphemistically called the world commerce. It would be found that before general disarmament in Europe commences, as it must someday, unless Europe is to commit self-destruction, some nation will have to dare to disarm herself and take large risks. The level of non-violence in that nation, if that event happily comes to pass, will naturally have risen so high as to command universal respect. Her judgments will be unerring, her decisions firm, her capacity for heroic self-sacrifice will be great, and she will want to live as much for other nations as for herself. One thing is certain, if the mad race for armaments continues, it is bound to result in a slaughter such as has never occurred in history. If there is a victor left, the very victory will be a living death for the nation that emerges victorious. There is no escape from the impending doom save through a bold and unconditional acceptance of the non-violent method with all its glorious implications. If there were no greed, there would be no occasion for armaments. The principle of non-violence necessitates complete abstention from exploitation in any form. Immediately the spirit of exploitation is gone, armaments will be felt as an unbearable burden. Real disarmament cannot come unless the nations of the world cease to exploit one another. I would not like to live in this world if it is not to be one world.
Numerous instances may be cited of persons who have lived for years in very good health without animal food. Dr. William Lambie, MD, vegan.
Devout viewers, thank you for being with us today for Words of Wisdom.